Oh my God, breaking news. Jeff Goodman is calling me right now, TJ.
What?
Jeff, we're doing the show right now. Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to explain to you why I said that. That's all.
Well, explain. I'm not live on the air, but I'm doing my podcast though. On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, Ed Cooley was back in Providence. It was a game that was very anticipated for obvious reasons, and it delivered. It delivered on the hype. I was really nervous there for a second. Georgetown made this way closer of a game than I was hoping it would be. Georgetown doesn't have the worst roster. I think it's overblown how bad they actually are, and that's what I was worrying the emotion of this game would get to Providence and backfire and disaster might strike. And there for a second, it was looking like maybe they were flirting with disaster, but then they put the exclamation point on it. Devin Carter has 29, which is cool because as fired up as the fans were to rub it in Ed Cooley's face and boo him and make signs and chant shit at him. The one sign of, well, we don't need to talk about it. We all saw that, the anagram sign, very funny. It did not disappoint, but one thing when I was watching, I was like, there are obviously Kim English has brought some transfer from George Mason, and Bryce Hopkins is out. Devin Carter is a guy who played for Ed Cooley, and he ended up having 29 points in this game. So that part of it was cool for me because I do feel like the fans were fired up, but does Kim English really care that much? And how many of these Providence players really care that much? Because how many of them are stuck around? And actually played for Cooley last year and are now in this game this year. They got like 3 or 4 others, I think, in the rotation. There's a decent amount, but initially I was hoping it was a Devin Carter and Bryce Hopkins 2-man game where they just fucking shove it down Ed Cooley's throat. And Hopkins obviously being Hopkins being hurt and out for the year put a damper on that. But the game still delivered. I think Providence fans still got the pound of flesh they were hoping for, and Ed Cooley leaned into the heel turn a little bit in the post-game press conference. Anyway, fun weekend of college basketball. Kansas lost again. They're 4-3 in the Big 12 for the first time ever in Bill Self's career. Could be 3-4. The TCU game is one that comes to mind, but at a certain point we got to stop doing the what ifs with games. But that one's still fresh on my mind. Just to think that this Kansas team is not that great, and yet they'll still probably find a way to win the conference. The Purdue Rutgers. The Rutgers special against the Boilermakers I thought was going to happen there for a second too,
Yep.
TJ. Yeah, it was setting up to be something. And then Purdue realized Robbie Hummel wasn't on the call, and I think that was it. I think that was the push Rutgers needed, is they needed Robbie Hummel to be on the call, and you would have pulled off that upset. A lot to talk about. I got Jake Marsh on the show today. Jake hasn't been on in a little while, and Jake is obviously a huge fan of the Big J talking points, so I wanted him to come on and talk about this Ed Cooley drama, some of the stories going on in college basketball, and like where we're trending as a sport with potential national championship type storylines, all that kind of stuff. Jake rules, and I like having him on the show, and it had been a while, and I reached out, and we had a fun conversation for about an hour. So going to talk about Ed Cooley, going to talk about this Jeff Goodman situation with Ed Cooley. It kind of is related to Ed Cooley. Sort of confusing, but it's become the story of college basketball, certainly on Twitter, college basketball Twitter. So we talked about that a little bit, a bunch of other stuff, fun conversation. Let's get to it. All right, Jake Marsh is here. Long overdue. It's been way too long since you've been on the show, Jake. It's great to have you back. I wanted you to come on the show because you're the storylines guy. That's your function, both on when you come on my show and also just like really the Barstool world at large. And I feel like college basketball, the stories are gearing up a little bit, mostly just because Ed Cooley went back to Providence, if we're being honest. But that was the story of the weekend. Ed Cooley is back in Providence. It was an absolute zoo like we thought it would be. I was nervous there for a second. Georgetown was playing way better than I think we expected when this game was first announced. But no Bryce Hopkins for Providence made it a little interesting. Providence gets the win. But I just wanted to talk about the Ed Cooley part of it all. And get your thoughts on it, because I love it. I think the hatred is completely justified. It is sort of a weird thing to try to explain to people that don't know what's going on, because you're really mad that you lost the coach. Like, you hate this coach because I don't know. Anytime breakups happen, Jake, it's a little bizarre because you're celebrating that you don't have that terrible coach anymore. You're like, we're better off without you. Screw you. We hate you. But then the fact that you're so fired up about it kind of speaks to like how badly you didn't want him to leave. It's a weird dynamic, but I love it, and I think it's great for the sport. What was your ultimate takeaway from Ed Cooley being back in Providence?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for having me back on, by the way. It's been too long.
It has been too long.
But yeah, it was, I think, everything we expected. I expected Providence to destroy Georgetown, so they did keep it close, as you mentioned. But yeah, it's a two-sided argument. On one side, he brought you so much. They made the Sweet 16, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
As a 4 seed.
Yep.
And he won the Big East regular season, I believe. But then he just stabbed you in the back one day. He's gone on many shows, and he's on the record many times saying this is his dream job. He's the king of campus, and that is like, this makes Chris Beard leaving Texas Tech look like nothing.
Right.
Because Ed Cooley, like, he preached Providence Friars every single day.
Well, it's the opposite, because Chris Beard, I think even Texas Tech fans, they were fired up about him leaving, and he's going to a conference rival.
Yeah.
And they had their reasons to be really upset, but Chris Beard went to Texas, and he was going back to his alma mater, and that made a little more sense at the time. Ed Cooley, like you said,
what was the connection to Georgetown?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's Big John, which like you kind of get, and I don't mean to downplay that. I'm sure like Big John was an important figure in Ed Cooley's life, but for you to sit there and say this is my home and this is my dream job and yada yada yada, and on, yeah, of course people are going to be fired up when you walk all that back.
Right. Do you see he demanded a raise?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. In the post game, he's like, I should get a bonus for all the energy that the arena had. I did think it was a little weird, I guess, like as I thought about it more, like a lot of the players on Providence weren't, like they got some it's like a new regime sort of, so it's like the fans were fired up, and I think the players were feeding off that, but it would have been a lot cooler if like, I mean, like honestly, Bryce Hopkins played because he's, stuck around, and but still, it ended up living up to the hype, and I'm glad Providence won. But yeah, Ed Cooley is between that and then you saw the Rutgers thing earlier that TJ brought to my attention. So Georgetown played at Rutgers this year, and Cooley, the Rutgers beats Georgetown, and then Cooley in the post-game press conference was asked a question, and he told the reporter, was it a student reporter,
Oh, yeah, this
TJ?
was like the first or second week of the season,
very early
right?
in the season. Yeah.
Okay.
I need the Jake Marsh, Big J take on that. When Ed Cooley's like, ask me tougher questions, which he thinks he's doing someone a favor,
like
but he's really like
journalism.
talking down to them.
It's interesting because prior to this past year, I feel like, I mean, at least from my perspective and my firsthand experience interviewing him in the past, he was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And you didn't get that vibe at all.
Yeah.
But we're witnessing, I feel like, a real heel turn.
Yeah.
Just like in the way he's approaching the media and everything.
I think he missed, and I don't think he was prepared for the reaction he got. I think he, in his mind, he was like,
the first thing that goes through your mind, though,
right?
to make this jump.
I think in his mind, he's like, yeah, there will be some people mad, but I'm sure once I tell my side of the story, everyone will understand. And no, sir, that's not right. That did not work that way. And now he's just like, his head is spinning as far as the outward, like, view of him, and he's just sort of lost at sea. It almost feels, because I agree with you that like, even take the move out of it, just the thing at Rutgers and like the comment about like all these weird comments he's made, those in and of themselves are kind of bizarre and don't feel consistent with who I thought
making
Ed
those
Cooley was.
Comments as Providence's head
coach.
coach.
Right.
But now he's joined the dark side. It's crazy.
He's doing the heel turn, dude. It is crazy. And we I guess we have to talk about this part of the Ed Cooley thing.
Well, I was gonna say, do you have any? If I don't know every little detail about this jump, is there any where I could watch?
What's that? The
Ed Cooley moving on. Is there any piece of content? Is
there a documentary that you could watch?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, it's been taken down, and the creator has been thrown in prison because Jeff Goodman is snitching, I guess. I don't know. What a bizarre.
Yeah.
I was trying to make sense of it because the story.
Should we give people the background?
We should give the background. We sat down to record this like an hour after this whole saga or a couple hours, I don't know, but it just is sort of fresh. And I might need your help because I was digesting the story, and as I was like, there's no way this can be true. There has to be more to it. I have yet to find the more to it So explain what happened if you can.
So basically, I've got to give this guy the official credit. What is it? Big East something?
The Blue Demon.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the college basketball Twitter story of the day.
The Blue Demon Degenerate.
Yeah.
Is his name. So he went on his own. I think it was just for a hobby, right? To make this documentary about the Ed Cooley.
That's my understanding. Yes.
What he did at Providence, and then just jumping to Georgetown. I have it bookmarked. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Kind of explaining what we were talking about earlier. Why this was coaches switch jobs all the time.
Yeah.
Why is this one so visceral for the Providence fans? I think he was making a documentary setting out to answer that question for people.
Right. So I guess Jeff Goodman DM'd the Blue Demon Degenerate, who's responsible for putting this piece together. He said, "Told you will be getting sued. Is your source Rob Douster, who works with Jeff at Field of 68? Nah, my source is damn good, though. You honestly might lose a lot of money for this. I don't think you'll serve time, though. Got it. Are you Team Shirts or Team Wade? Is that a Will Wade thing? Like
I think so.
Like an FBI? I don't know. I don't want to comment enough without knowing all of the pieces.
Yeah, I don't know either. I didn't pick.
But that's the only Wade I can think of in college basketball.
Josh Schertz is the coach at Indiana State. I know that.
Okay.
But I don't understand what the I don't understand what the
I could be wrong here. And then he said, "How do you look in orange?" He said, "Which is it? You should hire a writer for this kind of thing. I'm just making sure in case. I honestly can't believe you produced that. It's hard to believe. I agree. In the offseason, when I have time, I will track you down who you are. I'll be at Wintrust, where the Barstool Invitational was. You're a bad human being. I disagree. We can talk about it if you want." So that was their
"You're a bad human being" with exclamation
exchange.
points.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Oh, I know what I'll stop you and answer the question. It's because of the DePaul opening for the head coaching job. I think he was asking.
Okay.
I think it's the DePaul guy was asking.
So Indiana State
should they hire Indiana State's coach or should we hire? So there must be DePaul.
Was it Will Wade or
Will Wade? Yeah,
okay.
I think DePaul fans are debating who they should hire, and those are the two. That's what the question was.
Okay, I didn't know
who should we hire?
the
basically.
context of Will Wade.
So there you
go. But yeah, this is interesting. First off, there are so many memes that can be made from this text conversation. The orange thing. How do you look in orange?
How do you look in orange? I saw someone quote tweeted and said, "Damn, Goodman is sentencing this guy to being an Illinois fan. That's crazy."
Yeah, or Syracuse, Oklahoma State, Tennessee, Auburn.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't really know what to make of this. I feel like it's very raw. By the time people are listening to this, there's probably going to be more details.
Or maybe a resolution of some sort. I was under the assumption that this guy was using Field of 68 clips in the documentary, and that's why Goodman was mad. I don't think that was the case.
Did he go to jail for that?
I think he was. No, of course not. Yeah. I think he was using FS1 clips. I think Goodman's point of view is purely like, I like Ed Cooley. Please stop making fun of him, and that's it. Like this wasn't a deal where like Goodman's like, you can't use my work.
Right.
I don't authorize that. Cease and desist, which is still like a douchebag move, but like it's a little more understandable and a little more like standard in this business.
But did he firmly believe like he was going to get arrested?
With Jeff, clips? You never know. With Jeff, you honestly never know.
Yeah.
I think Jeff is working under the assumption that the guy behind this account is like 21, 22, just like a young DePaul student who's a big fan. And if not, maybe he's fresh out of college. But this is what Jeff's point of view is. And he thinks that I'm big bad Jeff Goodman. I'm the biggest, baddest motherfucker in college basketball media.
I am college
basketball media, and I'm just going to intimidate the shit out of this guy and do my buddy Ed Cooley a favor and get this thing taken down because I'm Jeff Goodman and what I say goes. And he's not. Big miscalculation on his part that he swings that kind of dick. Doster's the part I saw. He had a screenshot where he was joking, and like Doster's very sarcastic. I like Rob a lot. Every time I talk to Rob,
we ate dinner with him at what's it called? Champions Classic.
The Champions Classic. Yeah. I talk to Rob. I tell him I'm praying for him, and I hope he can get out of the situation he's in with Goodman. I mean, being a business partner with that guy has to be pure misery. But I saw Doster's getting dragged into it, and I'm not saying that Rob doesn't deserve to be dunked on a little bit. But that's the part that I was trying to like evaluate. Like, how is Rob being serious, or is Rob just kind of fucking around and going with this thing? Whatever. Jeff is 100% the guy who acts serious. Is definitely trying to intimidate this guy. But now that it's blown up, I bet he does a podcast and addresses it and is like, I was kidding, obviously.
You think that's the route he goes?
I think that's what he's going to do. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he's going to address it at all because I think he sent out his mailbag or something and he was just getting ratioed.
Oh, really? He hasn't even.
This is a really bad ratio.
I muted him on Twitter. I can't.
Yeah.
No,
if I told you 38 retweets, 35 likes, how many replies?
I mean, a normal thing would be like 15.
Right.
And how many? What he's got?
223 in an hour. That's a tough ratio.
I remember I told this story on the Yak, but I remember at the Final Four last year because him and Dave were getting into it about Ed Cooley. Same thing. And we were doing the live show from the bar in Houston, and I saw Jeff the night before the live show at a little party, and I was like, are you going to swing by the bar tomorrow for the live show? I was like, I think it'd be good for you. I think it'd be good for it'd be good. I think everybody would win. You've been beefing with Dave. Now come talk to him. You can have a kiss and make up moment at the end, and everybody wins. And he told me I would definitely. You know me. I wouldn't back down from a fight. You know, like I'll mix it up. I'll bust some balls with the boys. But I got my daughter in town, and I don't want to bring my daughter to this and have her see me just, go into this metamorphosis where the claws come out and I just rip Dave limb from limb. And I was like, all right, Jeff, that's.
And he was being serious.
Yeah, he kind of was. Yeah. He was basically like, I'm gonna get into the mud with Dave, and I don't want to see my daughter see me do that. And I was just like, man. What? just show up and have a little fun and laugh at yourself, laugh at Dave a little bit, and we'll all move on and no one will give a shit,
Right.
And it was like
Dave would respect him a lot.
Yeah,
if he came up to him, came to the show and
take a few jabs from Dave,
yeah.
make a few jokes at Dave's expense. Everybody wins and go on. And he's like, dude, I think I would kill Dave. I'm like, yeah, man. Of all the people that you're going to. Like, in what world is Dave going to leave that interaction and be like, he fucking got me. He got me, dude. Jeff Goodman, dude, I've been in a lot of beefs in my day, but Jeff Goodman got the best of me. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was never going to happen.
Interesting. I mean, my interactions with him, I met him a few times when he came to Vermont games. I know he's close with Coach Becker from Vermont. So every time I talked to him, he was cool. He was nice. And then I think he unfollowed me this offseason. I don't know why. I just know he followed me. He follows 6,000 people, so I don't know what I did, or if it's just the affiliation. It's probably the latter. And then he called our broadcast unwatchable.
That's right. Maybe that's why he unfollowed you. Did he unfollow you before or after that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It was probably stemming from that, but he called our Barstool Invitational broadcast unwatchable.
Yeah.
Because of a clip of Dave talking about gambling, I would assume, in a 40-point blowout.
Yeah, you got to talk about the game still, Dave. Like, why would you talk?
Yeah.
Why would you try to make it interesting? You can't do that.
Yeah, so that's my experience with him. I don't know why he unfollowed me. I guess I'm too harmful.
I don't hate Jeff. I don't have like a blood feud with Jeff, like I do with Woj. I hate Woj. I want nothing but bad things for Woj. Jeff Goodman, I don't care that much.
Yeah,
but
I don't hate him.
He's a goober.
I just don't know why I unfollowed him.
My biggest problem with Jeff is that he tries to wear every hat you can wear in media. And I think that is you can't do that. Like, he tries to be the big J, like, I got all the scoops. I'm the professional in the building. He looks down on guys like me because he's like, you're not a real journalist like I am. But then he'll do his podcast and his show, and he's trying to do what we do at Barstool, where he's trying to joke around. He's trying to stir the pot. He's trying to troll people.
Yeah.
Which is all fun, but you can't like I've tried to dabble. I realized that a long time ago when I would get a few scoops and I would try to dabble in the scoops game. Like, I'm not a scooper. I can't be a scooper. I can't be a guy who's a jackass on air and then every so often is like, why won't people take me seriously? Jeff does the other thing where he's like, he demands to be taken seriously. I'm the best scoops guy in the business. I'm a big J. I'll do an interview with Sister Jean and nod along with her, and we'll just get we'll get the nitty gritty, like the story no one else has ever told before. But then he'll turn around and want to be a guy who's like, oh, dude, I was just fucking around with those DMs. I'm just busting balls with the boys, man. And that's my problem with him, is that he picks and chooses, and I see right through what he's doing, and it's just annoying. That's all. So,
yeah.
that's all.
We'll see if he approaches it at all. I mean, he's live on his show with Robbie Hummel right now, so I wonder if he's talking about it. But, yeah, it's interesting.
Should we play if I was to play the live show on my laptop and just turn it to the camera, should we just do that and put the show out and see how long till Jeff Goodman tries to send me to prison? Could we do that? I love Robbie too. Robbie, I love so much. I got to talk to Robbie about Goodman. But I don't, like Goodman was in Providence and they're chanting "fuck Jeff Goodman" in bars and stuff, and he's like filming it and like.
So he likes being.
But that's what I mean. Like he's leaning into it. So he's like in on the joke, but he's also like not joking, and that's what I think is he's never really joking until everyone dunks on him, and then he's like, "Come on, guys, we're just having fun."
I think he's trying
right?
to be like the middle of us.
Yeah, right.
He's trying to be goofy like you, but he's also trying to be Big J like me.
He wants to be Big J, and as you and I have proven, you can't do both. You got to pick a lane, right, Jay?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared to even try to be goofy sometimes.
Yeah, I'm scared when we went to the Final Four together. I was intimidated in the press room and in the
right.
Yeah. Well, we went to the Champions Classic.
Yeah.
And John Shire's talking. I just want to get a drink, and you're like Titus, stand down, stand down. Not yet, not yet.
The stares you would get if you tried getting that soda.
I wanted to get a refill of my soda, and Jake's like, "We don't do that in the press room." I was like, "Damn, Jake, I'm sorry."
Did not say that.
I know you did.
But yeah, it's it was an interesting development, and like you said, tied into the biggest storyline of the weekend.
Let's talk about college basketball as a whole, the storylines. I think we, like a lot of casual fans, you just want to fast forward to the Final Four, the national championship, and you want to start like envisioning what would be the story. Like, we'll just cut right to it. If Purdue wins a national championship, crazy story. They lost to the 16th seed last year, and it wasn't just last year. They've had a horrendous run of luck, skill, wherever you want to fall on that spectrum of their problems in the NCAA tournament. They have had a horrendous run, losing to double-digit seeds.
13, 15, 16. Last 3 years.
Last 3 years, yeah. And they've had, quote-unquote, national title contending teams all 3 years.
Yeah.
And this year, they are not the number one team in the country, but they have been at times. Some metrics have them at number one. They are pretty clearly going to be a number one seed and right back in that position where they're going to be playing a 16 in the opening game. That is probably the story that everyone's focused on, but I want to throw 3 more scenarios at you, and I need the Jake Marsh, because this is what you're good at, is sussing out the story. I'm going to throw 3 more national title stories at you, and you tell me if these could be good enough to supplant Purdue. So number 1, UConn going back-to-back. That's pretty obvious.
I think that's like being an underrated storyline.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about Purdue. UConn just destroyed Xavier yesterday.
Oh my God,
they're up 38-9 at the final meeting time out of the first half. Everyone wants Purdue for the storyline, but I love Dan Hurley. Like, why not them again?
Yeah, and I think they would do it. Unlike the Florida team at 07 that cheated and brought back all 5 starters, I think UConn losing the core of their guys and having to replace them, doing them with a different group, that would be really something.
Right.
Because that really hasn't happened. Because even 92, when Duke did it, 91, 92, they had their
same guys.
Same kind of guys.
I mean, they still have
it's been a minute since that
amount of returners. Obviously, the big guys are gone.
Yeah. But they did lose maybe their 3 best players. I know Tristan Newton was great for him, and Klingon was great off the bench, but Sonogo and Jackson and Hawkins were like that was the core.
I think was it Hawkins who was at the game yesterday? Someone was.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I think so.
To lose those 3 guys and then be right back in the same position. You're right. They did bring Caravan's back and Newton's back and Klingon's back, but if they were to pull that off, I think that's a crazy story.
Especially in today's game, because the transfer portal and everything, just like it's so hard to keep a core together. And not to say some guys transferred out, but like you said, the Gators had the same starting 5 basically.
Right.
When they won it all.
Yeah,
twice.
they cheated. So I think that might be bigger than Purdue. Because the problem with Purdue, this Purdue story, I mean, not the Purdue basketball team, just like the idea of being excited about Purdue maybe winning a national championship, as we've seen it before. Not only have we seen it before, we saw it 4 years ago. I guess 5 years ago, with Virginia, which doesn't mean it still would be a hell of a story, but it's just like the whole reason we're even entertaining the idea is because Virginia just did it, and we're like, oh damn, is Purdue going to pull off the Virginia?
Yeah.
So if they did, I would still be like, damn, that's pretty awesome for the Purdue fans to have that roller coaster, and then they win a national title. But as a neutral fan, we just saw this. So that's what I'm a little hesitant on being excited about that as a story. So I got 2 other scenarios.
Okay.
Everyone's focusing on Purdue's devastating loss in the tournament last year. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, remembers that Arizona was a 2 seed that lost to a 15 seed.
They got lucky.
Yeah. They lost to a 15 seed in the NCAA tournament last year. Nobody remembers it. The Final Four is in Phoenix, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Arizona Wildcats getting their storybook ending? Because unlike Purdue, who lost to a 16 and would then come back to win the national championship, there has never been a team that's lost to a 15 and then won the national championship the next year. So we have never seen that.
I like that.
And
a
it would
lot.
be the hometown deal in front of, and it'd be the last year of the Pac-12. We got a Pac-12 champion.
It would quite literally be the last time a Pac-12 team steps on the basketball floor.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless someone from the Pac-12 women's, because sometimes the women's is like the day after.
Oh, yeah,
men's.
that's right. When is the
They flip-flop, I feel like, between when they are. But, yeah, that's definitely possible, too. They just lost at the buzzer to Oregon State.
Yeah, I know. They've been not playing great, though. That's the problem with Arizona. They're not consistent.
And
I don't trust that they can win 6 in a row.
What's the map nugget? Like, no one west of this place has won the championship since blank, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but I can
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I can help you here. Is Waco further west than Lawrence, Kansas? It probably is, right?
I think no team west of
that like
middle
the
portion
middle
of the country
portion
has won since
on the western half of the United
Yeah.
States. It'd be Arizona, right? 97. Yeah, because UCLA is 95.
There you
So
go.
yeah, since 1997. Yeah, which
we could say the same thing about the Big Ten.
I know.
Sorry.
I know the Big Ten would, but the Pac-12 is more of a drought. The Big Ten is more notable because the Big Ten is thought to be good, and then the Big Ten doesn't win. Whereas the Pac-12 is like actually not good in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
now you're gonna
think
get 4 more
now-
chances.
Yeah, the Big Ten will get 4 more chances.
And
That would be very funny if one of the 4 won a championship. Like
in the last
really
5
quickly.
years, 2 of the 4 teams coming in and made the Final Four, UCLA and Oregon in 2017.
Right.
I guess 2017 is already 8.
USC made the Elite Eight not too long ago. In the,
Yeah, that's right.
the Mickey Mouse tournament.
Yeah. So
that doesn't
you're
count.
getting more chances. It's great.
I have another team that I think would be an insane story that would get the Big Jays fired up.
Okay.
North Carolina winning the national championship
Yeah.
after going to the national championship, being the preseason #1.
And Baycott comes back one
Yeah.
last ride.
The season they had last year where everyone was like, there it is, Hubert Davis can't coach, get him out of here. Like it's only a matter of time till he gets fired, and
They're rolling right now.
Roy. They are absolutely rolling, and I think that same basically Baycott and R.J. Davis and Hubert winning a national championship when Caleb Love leaves. Especially if they can you imagine if they play Arizona and Caleb Love on the way?
That's mine.
Yeah.
As you would say. What's the phrase that you said on PMT?
What, cream your Dockers?
Yep.
Yeah. Jake would cream his Dockers if Carolina versus Arizona in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four.
People have
or
picked
in the
up on
national
that, by the way.
Oh,
People
really?
reply to me all the time now.
What, the cream your
Yeah.
Dockers?
About anything. Anything that's like
I'm sorry.
nerdy but cool, but
I'm sorry.
yeah, you should like
I should trademark that.
yeah, you should tell people if they steal it.
Oh,
How they look in
throw you in
orange.
prison. How would you look in orange?
Yeah.
Good luck in prison, buddy.
Yeah.
What other stories are we missing? What other? Because I felt like those are the 3.
No,
other
those
than
are
really the big
definitely
ones.
The ones that I came
Houston,
with.
like Houston, I guess Tennessee. Rick Barnes winning a national championship when he's been a guy who's been much maligned as like
they're
a
like-
March choker, but
That's I was saying to Big T this morning. Tennessee is Purdue. They just lose 2 rounds later.
yeah,
They're the same team. They just don't get embarrassed as as much as Purdue does.
yeah,
Because they're always gonna make you believe in the regular season.
right,
And then instead of losing to a double-digit seed the first weekend, they'll do it in the second weekend.
yeah. You're right. Yeah, if Rick Barnes could overcome that would be pretty cool. I don't know who else. Like what else? Illinois. I don't think that would be a story people would get really excited about though with Terrence Shannon.
Right.
You
That
know,
would be
that whole
interesting.
murky situation. Marquette, Shaka.
Yeah, I mean,
What about? I don't even know if I'm talking about national championship anymore. I'm just talking about like Shaka
Final
Smart's
Four.
back in the Final Four
right?
with his. Yeah. I don't know. Tom Izzo bouncing back, or I really do think Cal. I've been on this Kentucky team. They've been a talking point all season. As Kentucky's a talking point pretty
Right.
much any season. But
How about Big Cats Badgers?
yeah,
They're number 6 right now.
yeah. Wisconsin would be. That would be a fun story.
It would.
If Wisconsin got they were about to fire Greg Gard, and Dan would have to delete all his tweets. They were like, "Fire Greg Gard. I hate this guy."
Yeah,
He'd have to walk all that back. So he'd be a busy man.
that would be interesting. But Yeah, I hope selfishly FAU can make a run again. I feel like they've kind of like they had so much pressure and hype in their non-conference, and they're still right there. Like they're number 20.
Yeah, they just keep like playing with fire.
I
man.
know.
They're
Donald
not,
Davis
they
just
do
hit a buzzer
not look
beater.
great. They look like they're.
But remember, this is their first season in the new conference.
I know, but
Like if they were in the
well, what worries me, Jake, is last year they very nearly, and Memphis fans would argue should have lost the first game. And if that was the case, if they had lost to Memphis in the first round of last year, they would right this second at 17-4. They would probably, I don't know, maybe they would be ranked as high as they are. But they've lost to Bryant. They've lost to Florida Gulf Coast. They've lost to Charlotte.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody would have them on their radar
But
right this second.
They also
as-
have good wins.
They
Arizona,
do. They beat Arizona.
A&M.
Yeah. They beat Butler too, if I remember right.
Yes.
They beat,
Butler just beat Villanova. That was talked about on part of my take yesterday.
I want Butler to sneak into the tournament. I think they have a shot, but they're on the outside looking in right now for sure.
Also, FAU plays Memphis 2 of their last 4 games.
Oh yeah, they
Regular
they
season.
backloaded it for
Yeah.
So
that'll be fun.
that conference isn't very good. I was hoping the
The
American would
AAC.
be better. Yeah.
You know who's sneaky
it's
good
It's better
this year?
than Conference USA, but
USF.
it's not really.
USF's 13-5.
Oh yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
But the American, like obviously when UConn was in it, it was and Louisville was in it, but I did used to think of it as like a mid-tier sort of thing, and I guess it technically still is.
It's like
but
the same as like the Mountain West and right.
Yeah,
now,
but like
right?
the Mountain West is way better than the
Yeah.
American at this point. I don't know what happened, but
Speaking
the
of Mountain
American-
West, you see that Wyoming comeback?
No, I missed that.
The
What happened?
Wyoming versus Colorado State. I did a video on it, but it was basically Northern Iowa versus Texas A&M in the 2016 tournament.
Oh, really? I must have been
They were-
watching something else.
It was an
What
11-point game with a minute left, and they came back and won.
And Wyoming won?
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
it was madness.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was just like basically everything could have gone wrong.
At-
Like
was it
missed
at
free
Wyoming
throws.
or at-
Yeah, at Wyoming.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
those things only in college basketball.
Only in college
Could you blow
basketball.
an 11-point lead with a minute left? And they were down 5 with 3 seconds left.
What?
Yeah.
Was it Vermont that had the crazy?
They had the crazy one against Yale too.
Was that this year?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
this year in December.
Which was down 4 with,
Yeah.
and
No
then they
time
won in
left.
regulation, right?
Yeah.
There's
It
like
was
a second
insane.
left, down 4, and you win in regulation. That's almost impossible.
Yeah.
One other thing we got to talk about. Speaking of Wyoming and being in the mountains and all that, a school in Utah, BYU,
Yes.
were. It's gonna be tough for me to say this, Jake. I gotta
Just don't get
the-
canceled saying this.
get the bleep button ready, TJ. They wore shirts that said horns down.
Or were they shirts or were they body paint?
Or was it body paint?
Either way,
It's
it's
hard to
disgusting.
tell. They were very white, and as it turns out, the BYU student body, it's hard to tell whether they have
Fair.
shirts on or not. Either way, yeah, as you said, disgusting, classless, really. BYU. So the story goes, Mark Pope says in the post game that BYU was the ones who asked the students to take the shirts off or paint their put a shirt, whatever. Get rid of the horns down in the front row. Mind you, these were not shirts with the horns down logo. They were not like there was no there's really no taunting whatsoever. It wasn't like one guy's got a horns down as he's flipping off the camera or
Yeah.
there was no wherever your imagination could take you on this. I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there. There's no need for imagination. It was literally just shirts that had letters that said horns down. That's it. And they made him change, and this is after Rodney Terry had a dump in his pants
Against UCF.
about
right?
UCF doing the horns down. What the hell's going on with Texas, Jake? Can you make sense of this for me?
This might be the most ridiculous, softest story ever. That might be hyperbole.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how this offends people. People boo at games. People
say crazy shit. at
crazy
games.
things.
You watch the Auburn Alabama game. You could very clearly hear the Bama fans chanting "Fuck you, Auburn!" Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Fuck you, from start to finish. The Illinois at Northwestern game, the fans were just obscene chants at Terrence Shannon all night, which I'm not saying are good, bad, or otherwise. But for this to be the thing where we as a college basketball public are like, yeah, you gotta take those shirts off. They say horns down.
Do football players still get 15-yard penalty?
I don't know, because I thought the Big 12 had that rule, but then with Texas leaving the Big 12, maybe the Big 12 was like, all right, never mind, screw them. We don't care about Texas anymore. But I don't
who's
know.
actually offended by it?
I don't know. It's very bizarre.
It's the weirdest story ever.
But Texas gets so fired up. Now, I will, for the Texas people listening, I will set the record straight. Like, we don't know why BYU took the shirt. Like, BYU said that the story was that the BYU asked the students to take the shirts or paint their chest, whatever, get rid of the horns down thing.
It was shirts, by the way.
Yeah, it was shirts?
Yes.
So BYU asked BYU students to take it down, and if you're a Texas...
Do you think they were requested?
That's the thing. If you're a Texas fan, you're like, this had nothing to do with us. We didn't complain at all.
Maybe.
I'm a little woke to this. I'm thinking someone on Texas complained to BYU's athletic staff and was like, can you not?
Also, do you think they get asked to take it down if they're not first row next to the Texas bench?
That's true, too. Yeah, that's true,
if they're second row?
Yeah, they're second row, or they're on the other side of the court. Yeah. It is the weirdest thing. I don't get it at all. It's not even...
No, it's not offensive.
There's nothing offensive
like,
about
I want Texas fans to respond to us. Like, tweet us, are you actually offended?
Yeah, I don't get it at all. I don't even if Ohio State was playing Texas in a basketball game, I wouldn't even want to do, because I think it's lame. I honestly think it's so inoffensive that doing it is lame. Like if you're doing but it's becoming cool because they get so pissed off about it. But like if we were playing Texas in a football, basketball game, whatever, no part of me at the game would be wanting to do a horns down, except for once you notice how pissed off they get, then I'm like, all right, I mean this is lame as fuck, but like, you seem to be triggered by it, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Also, opponents, when they play the Florida Gators and they win, what do?
Yeah, they always
when you beat Florida State, what do you do?
Yeah, always
the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
So
that's yeah, dude.
And everyone's like, yeah, that's fair game. Why is it just Texas who gets pissed off?
I don't know. It's so weird, and I do feel bad for the Texas fans that do think it's lame, because that would suck to like have your school outwardly being this, and. I would hate that. I would absolutely
I just
hate
don't
it.
understand.
Soft.
And believe me, I know I'm soft when it comes to some things, but like this one makes no sense.
What's something you're soft when it comes to in sports?
I don't know.
Brandon and I were talking about taunting the
that one's
taunting
ridiculous flag. Too.
Well, you
no, it's ridiculous that you're not allowed to do.
You're not allowed to taunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even Joe Burrow, I'm sure you guys talked about it, but he was like, let
them taunt. Yeah. I think I'm mostly pro taunting, but.
Yeah.
I understand why the rule's in place, because I think like without a rule, guys would just be doing
also
most flagrant shit. But like, who cares?
Like, we're not in court.
Yeah,
nobody
cares.
It's a ridiculous story. I didn't think I'd get this mad about it, but yeah.
What are you soft on? I want to.
Are
you pro court storming?
Yes. Well, when I was a student, and students did it at Syracuse, I wouldn't do it.
What?
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Well, I'll say this. When they did it, I was in the upper deck, so it wasn't logistically as possible.
Yeah,
but it actually happened on my Snapchat memories a few days ago. I'm like, some small program storming the court after beating Florida State. I was like, these kids are such losers.
Oh, you tweeted that, or you?
No,
I
sent it on my Snapchat. I put it on my Snapchat story.
Oh no!
But I've come around on it since I've graduated.
Yeah.
Because if I was in the lower bowl, I would have.
You would have done it.
I would have done it.
But it's hard. It's hard to do it in the upper to like take the escalator down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like by the time you're on the court, it's like 30 minutes after you gave it. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pro court storming now.
I couldn't believe.
I've come around.
Bill has broke my heart on College Game Day.
Oh yeah, he said it needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
Was it the Caitlin Clark thing?
Yeah, because of the Caitlin Clark thing, which was total horseshit, and she flopped. And like, I'm not trying to attack Caitlin Clark's character. I'm just attacking that one incident. It was obvious what happened, but it was funny though, because he goes, the point that he made was that in the NFL we don't let fans on the field, and then literally the very next NFL game that was played was on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs win the game, and what happens, Jake? All the Chiefs, like family and friends and everyone goes on the field.
That's probably common.
They go on the field though.
Yeah, they do, but they also get escorted, and it's a trophy ceremony. And
I'm just saying, consistency.
Imagine if there was court storming in pro sports.
It would be awesome.
There
used
was
to
for
be?
a long time. If you go back,
Yeah,
and
of
watch
course,
the 1977 ALCS Chris Chambliss home run.
Oh yeah, the guy as he's rounding third, right?
He never touched third base because a fan took it out of the ground and ran away with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, in golf, there's clips of like guys running to grab the ball out of the hole.
On 18.
In lower levels of in lower levels of European soccer than at the pro level, but like in the not at like Manchester United or whatever, they'll storm the court.
Yeah.
Like you watch like Welcome to Wrexham or whatever. They're
Yeah,
when they win their big match, like all the fans run out onto the field and celebrate with the players and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why this is always a talking point. It's so weird, and everybody always deals in like a hypothetical world where it's like, do we have to wait until somebody gets injured to take this away? And I'm screaming at the TV, yes, we do, because nobody. It doesn't happen. It never ever happens ever. It's just always like an incident happens that almost could have been bad, and everyone's like, dude, holy shit, that could have been, but it never is.
But I feel like some teams and schools have put a good protocol in place.
Yeah.
Or they'll bring 20 security guards to cover the road team's bench.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way for the students to attack.
Yeah.
The road team.
Right.
But yeah.
Which is what Ohio State was doing, by the way, when Caitlin Clark just went rogue and took off running.
Yeah.
There's a cop running right next to her, like, what are you doing? Don't run that way. And then she gets bumped, and he's the one who like picks her up and is like, stop doing that.
The numbers game, it's impossible to stop it, just because how many security guards could you hire? There's thousands of students.
I'm glad you're pro storming. I was worried about you there for a
Storming
second.
the court.
Storming
Storming
the court. Very
the
specific. Pro
basketball
storming the court. Do not report that Jake Marsh is pro storming anything else. Just pro storming the court.
Maybe the field.
Or the field. Court/field. Those are the two.
That's it.
I need your help with this. I want to make the National Player of the Year race interesting, and Zach Edey's making it very hard for me. I think RJ Davis is in the mix. He should be. I'm not saying he should win it. I'm just saying he should be in the mix. I think Dalton Connect should be in the mix.
Yeah.
What can I do as as just a loudmouth with a microphone to get the big J's to pay more attention to someone else and like get back to making this a fun race instead of, because I do feel like really the last handful of, I mean, when was the last time we had a really, really good National Player of the Year? It was Luka. It was Luka.
Zion win it?
Zion won it, but like that was obvious. I think it was 2020 when Luka Garza and Obi Toppin ended up with. That was the last like good race we had.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 4 straight years of like give it to Garza, give it to Shibwe, give it to Edey twice. Where it's just kind of ho-hum boring over by January. How do we get this back? How do we get people arguing about this again? Because Zach Edey's kind of running away with this. Can
you could hope you root against Purdue?
Yeah, if Purdue loses enough.
Yeah, I mean they're 19-2 at the time of this recording. If they drop like 3 of 5 in a stretch.
Yeah, they got Wisconsin. They're at Wisconsin this weekend.
Yeah,
that would be a big help.
So I think that's your easiest way out.
Dalton Connect is a flamethrower, and RJ Davis has been awesome too. I'm trying to get those two guys pushed. I'm not trying to tear Zach Edey down. I'm just trying to push those two guys up and get them in the mix because they are just like so fun to watch. But I don't know can you sell vibes? Can you sell vibes to Big J's or to Big JC right through it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Because I want to sell the Dalton Connect vibes. I want to sell the RJ Davis vibes.
But Big J is like we've talked about, the number one thing that appeals to them is storylines.
I know.
Or storylines. And the Zach Edey storyline.
But him winning 2 in a row, first guy since Ralph Sampson. If he wins National Player of the Year and Purdue does not make the Sweet 16, if they lose in the first weekend, we have to take the National Player of the Year trophy away. We cannot let him
include it. They should announce it like Final Four.
They should announce it Final Four. Yeah, he doesn't have to. You don't
have to win it all. But
you don't have to win it all. But like you can't.
Those first 2 weekends.
We as a sport can't have the National Player of the Year like lose to 16 seed 2 years in a row. That's a terrible. A guy went back to back and then lose to 16 seed.
How popular of a bet is the 16 seed who plays Purdue going to be money line?
I know. That's going to be a very stupid bet too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner-Webb, didn't they almost beat Virginia?
They were up at halftime on Virginia. And then, Virginia's whole run to the national championship was just bonkers.
Yeah.
Basically every single game. I need your help with this, too. This is just hypothetical. We're just talking hypotheticals. How would, if you hypothetically were a journalist, which you are, so you don't need to hypothetical that part, and the coach of the program you love more than anything in the world is a super nice guy, just the nicest guy ever, gives you all the access you would want, gives you merch. Anytime you need tickets, anytime you need a favor, he hooks you up. His family's been great to you. Just a class act. Can't say a bad word about the guy. But you are a Big J, and it is your job to talk about college basketball. And you are appreciative of the way he's treated you, but at the same time, you've reached a point where the program you love has hit rock bottom, and you're out of patience, and you find yourself actually literally embarrassed every single day that you wake up being associated with that program. How do you handle that, Jake Marsh, hypothetically speaking?
I'm trying to think of what this hypothetical is.
Hypothetically speaking, yeah, if there was a program that maybe one of us two that was relevant for. I'm talking about Ohio State. I'm talking about Chris Holtman.
You're fully out on them?
I am beyond out on them. I thought I was
5 of 6.
I thought I was out, and I am.
Did you go to the game this weekend?
No, dude, because I'm out on him. I said I was out. I'm not watching a second of Ohio State basketball till we win a road. Jake, the last time this is a fun exercise. You tell me. Stop looking at the schedule because I need.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Spoiled it for myself.
I don't want you to.
Yeah.
You tell me when you think the last time Ohio State basketball won a road game of any kind. Of any kind. It doesn't have to.
It can be neutral too.
No, a true road game, but like it doesn't have to be like against a ranked team. It doesn't have to be on CBS. Just literally any road game.
This time last year.
You have to go further back. It was January 1st of last year.
Really?
It's been over a year. Yeah, it's been almost 400 days.
But you guys had those 3 wins in 3 days in the Big East tournament.
The Big Ten
Big Ten
tournament where we almost
pull off the
sort
shocker.
of kind of beat Purdue, and then we would have definitely won the next game. Everybody knows that. Yeah. I don't know how to handle it. How do I?
So what
handle
happens here? Is he gonna get fired?
I don't think so. I don't. It's so hard. That's why I need your help because like I want to do my job.
I mean, you
well.
played for the team, so you can't just jump ship.
I want to do my job though. Is like when I got Buckeye people that are like, should we fire Holtman? I'm like, if I'm being completely honest, and this was another coach at a different program, like I've completely run out of excuses. But at the same time, Holtman, I love the guy. I'll root for him wherever he ends up. I care more than the players. That's the problem, Jake. Is that I've gotten to the point. I really think it's true. Yeah, like we lost by. Did you see the Northwestern score?
83-58.
We were down by 40 almost.
Aye.
We've lost 5 we lost 4 or 5 going into Northwestern, and we were down by fucking 40.
Have you talked to your former teammates? What are their thoughts?
Dude, you think I'm mad? Talk to those guys. They're
all at Butler.
Yeah, that's true. They're all at Butler. No, it's just bad vibes around the program, and I don't know how to handle it, Jake. What do you do at a time like this when it's a nice guy, and you don't want to be mean to him, but you have a job to do? How do you do that? How do you put the puppy dog down behind the woodshed? Like, I got to shoot him in the head, and I don't want to do it.
Syracuse did this with their football coach, Dino Babers. Really nice guy, but it just didn't work out.
So what were you saying publicly when people were like,
I was saying,
should we fire him? What do you say?
Great guy. Wish him the best, but it was time for a change.
Yeah.
I feel like that could work here.
Yeah, I don't think Holtman's that bad of a coach. I don't think – but I think we have a cultural problem, and I think that comes from the top. And it's just like we just have like the softest players ever. They just get – we got beat by Michigan.
They're so bad.
They are so bad. Look at Michigan's last run of games. Michigan's won like one game in forever, and the one win that was against us. That's how bad it is for us.
They've won one game since December 16th.
Yeah, and the one game was us, Jake. That's how bad it is.
Oh, my God. Michigan only has 4 wins that aren't bye games. And we're at the end of January.
Now you're starting to see where I'm at as Ohio State. I legitimately thought that we could be like a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament this year, coming into the year. We have the talent to be that. We do. And I still think we have the talent to, not anymore, obviously. We're not going to salvage it. But
you guys beat Alabama.
Yeah. I thought like that for a second there we were in position to. We're not even close to the tournament. It's embarrassing. It's all embarrassing. Yeah. Do you think Rick Pitino's been a big enough story?
I feel like it was one of the biggest preseason storylines, but I feel like he's the second or third biggest Big East storyline.
Yeah.
Right now.
I know.
Right?
Oh, because I think St. John's is having a decent year. I mean, they did lose 3 in a row there for a second, but they did lose to Michigan too. They were one of the.
We need them in the tournament,
but they've had a decent run, and they played UConn well. I don't know. I think Joel Soriano's been awesome.
Mm-hmm. He's pretty much like the only guy who he kept, right?
Yeah.
He
basically kicked out. Yeah, he basically cleaned house with everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I want St. John's to be more relevant. They got UConn coming up at home. Maybe that, or in Madison Square Garden on Saturday. Maybe that's the one.
I think they were off this week. I think he went to see his son play at New Mexico. They had a late game last night.
Yeah.
I think he's, balancing dad and coach.
New Mexico's good.
Yeah.
They've been fun. Do you care about Duke Carolina this weekend?
I mean, it's always good to see them on the calendar, but
There's
like
lost, right?
this Saturday is the best slate of the year, right?
Yeah. I think I want to say that's by design, but I never know. I never know if
Well, how could they predict it?
Well, because Super Bowl, this is the one weekend the NFL's off.
Oh, yeah.
So
But I'm saying when they're creating the schedule, how do they know all these teams are actually going to stay put, like on the top of the rankings?
Well, they do the schedules like right before. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
like coming into the year, I think Tennessee at Kentucky was going to pop.
Yeah, no matter
They knew
what.
that. Duke Carolina was going to pop. UConn St. John's wasn't necessarily. I guess maybe they knew that. Houston's at Kansas. Like
That's
that. Like we knew coming into the year Houston at Kansas was going to be a big game. So I think all of this was
Duke UNC via
by
Ken
design.
Palm is the number 6 game.
That's pretty crazy.
A lot about the slate.
That's pretty crazy. Where are we with Duke? Do you think in terms of? I know Big Cat loves to talk about this, but I want
that
your
Clemson finish was controversial.
very controversial, right?
Yeah.
Do we think Duke is Cooper Flag will make Duke hateable? Do you think? Do you think, or do you think?
I don't feel like they're not that hateable
done?
right now.
Yeah, I think
Shire's
it's done.
just such a great guy.
Shire's a nice guy. I know we've talked about it.
Yeah.
I like to revisit it every so often, especially
Yeah.
after Duke wins on controversial calls against Clemson, which they did. Which Tyrese Proctor just put his head down and was like, "I'm going to initiate contact 6 times,
Right.
and then get the whistle."
What I'm bummed about overall, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, is the ACC hasn't had the same pop in the last
It hasn't.
5 years or so.
It hasn't. Yeah, and I
Stinks.
don't know.
Like, I love when the ACC is relevant.
I
But
think
right now, I think Lenardi has like 3 teams in.
I think Louisville bottoming out really hurt that. I
Virginia's been meh.
think Virginia's been meh. Virginia can still throw a wrench in other people's shit, but they're not good enough to be good. You know? Like, they're not actually elite, but they are still good enough to just like make games disgusting. Miami had the good run last year, and they've been a disappointment this year.
FSU was great, and now they're like meh.
Just they're Syracuse though is
is-
another thing that I think it's really Louisville. I think it's losing Boeheim and Kay and Roy,
Yeah.
and then I think it's Virginia taking a step back. Louisville bottoming, but if like Louisville was, if like they don't need to be ranked, but if Louisville was one of the 30 to 40 best teams in college basketball this year, the ACC would be far more interesting. 'Cause
Also,
we'd be getting
about a decade ago, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame too. Yeah,
Mike
they
Ray
hit.
and Bonzi Colson.
That's a
and those
good point.
teams,
We've
like,
hit a
what
big
happened to them
reset.
the last few years?
We hit a big reset on Notre Dame.
Like
which
obviously
they'll get it back. They'll get it back.
I'm a little biased because Syracuse ACC, but when I was in college, like the ACC was the best conference, and it wasn't even a debate.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Now
the
it's
last 4 or 5 years, what if?
yeah. But having said all that, Carolina is Carolina's legit. I think Carolina is legit. Wake Forest is pretty good. They've done their part. I think that the Wake Forest as a program has kind of gotten a little magic back, but they haven't gotten back to.
Right.
They need to be consistently
Also,
ranked. But they have a
Clemson,
good team.
they've been
Yeah,
they've been on a downfall.
they
started
the bottom's
11-1.
fallen off.
They've
Yeah, you're
won 2
right.
games
Yeah.
since then. Like they're another team. They made the Sweet 16 in 2018.
I thought Pittsburgh would be a little bit better this year.
they were a nice surprise last year, but
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I just want the ACC to
The
be
AC,
better.
if it makes you feel any better, the Big Ten is not very good either.
Yeah.
Purdue is doing some heavy lifting.
But I feel like the
Wisconsin,
names, the ACC just by names should have
they should. Yeah,
year in and year
Yeah.
out with Duke, UNC, and Syracuse.
yeah. The Big Ten has been woof as well.
Yeah.
Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois, and then Michigan State's like not. Michigan State refuses to die.
Right.
But then after that, it's like you can make an argument
But-
Iowa or
yeah.
Northwestern are the next best.
And I know
it's just
UCLA is not having the best year, but having them in the Big Ten is going to be awesome.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Oregon.
yeah. When Eric Musselman takes over at UCLA next year, having him in the Big Ten.
Is that the rumor?
Yeah, that's what.
I love Muss, but they're not having a great year.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing reports. I was listening to a podcast not too long ago that was speculating that Mick Cronin will take the Louisville job, and then Eric Musselman will take. Yeah, it was my podcast.
Oh, okay.
I was listening to myself say it into this microphone.
Nice.
Yeah. And then Mick Cronin to Louisville and Muss to UCLA. I'm calling that shot. That's what.
Wow. I love Muss. They're 1-6.
Yeah, they're not having a
And
great
their
year.
one win, I think, is a buzzer beater.
This is a good time to get out of town. It's a good time to. It's a good time to.
I might have
hit
to
a
go
hard
back down
reset.
and do another handshake.
Yeah. That's
Maybe
right.
that'll change the vibes.
Dude, Muss in LA would be awesome though.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That'd be sick.
He would
So
be, he's
Louisville, they're obviously going to fire Kenny
they're going to
Payne.
fire Kenny
So
Payne.
what's
Yeah. They're just not going to do it. I think they're going to wait till the end of the season. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, they could go a million different directions with it. That's what makes like a program like Louisville is definitely a desirable job, and that's what makes it interesting. I don't know. Cronin makes sense to me, but they're going to take some swings for sure.
Is Louisville better than UCLA? Job-wise?
No, but Cronin is
closer to Cincinnati.
it's close.
Right?
Yeah, he's.
that where he's
It
from?
would make a lot of sense for like if he
Yeah.
took that job, I would not think that was like
A crazy step down.
Yeah, or step down, or it's really not. To be completely honest, they're about level. I mean, UCLA's program has more national
And
championships,
the
but
lifestyle.
Louisville has money like you would not believe.
Yeah.
And I think they're pretty level, honestly, in terms of coaching, in terms of the job itself, not the program, like the overall history of the program or whatever. But I'm trying to call my shot on that. But they're going to fire Kenny Payne. I think they have to, because I think the more he continues to coach, no, who cares what his buyout is? Like, you're costing money by like selling 0 tickets.
They're
and
10 and
0
42
boosters.
with him.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm curious who DePaul's gonna hire too. I'd like to see DePaul. Take a swing.
I read
on
something. Maybe it was unconfirmed, but did John Shire want that job? Was that a thing? Because the Chicago guy.
He's not leaving Duke, but
No, I'm
but like
saying
a million
in
years
the
ago,
last, in the last cycle.
in the last cycle,
before they hired Tony Stubblefield.
he probably would have. Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
think it was still Coach K.
Yeah, he's a Chicago guy. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I do wonder where they can find a guy like John Shire's age who already lives in Chicago and knows ball and
Is he
has
sitting at his
expressed
desk?
a desire to coach big-time college basketball. Yeah, he might be, Jake.
Yeah.
He might be. I'll throw my hat in the ring. I'll go to war with Jeff Goodman. I'll defend the Blue Demon Degenerate, whatever. Was that his name? Blue Demon Degenerate?
Blue Demon.
Blue Demon Degenerate? Yeah.
Ray just
dude.
sent me this. He has you at number 33 to take the DePaul job.
I'm 33 on the list?
Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
Oh, he has a top 100.
Goodman at 100.
Goodman's at 100?
Oh, Big Cat's on it. Red Panda.
Hell yeah. I gotta move up those rankings though, dude. I'll revolutionize DePaul basketball.
You're right behind John Fana and right in front of Nick Saban.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I'll get Lil Sass sitting courtside every game. Back to his
He's
roots,
a big DePaul guy.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah, man.
What would you do coaching against Thad Matta?
I'd beat his ass.
Teacher versus
I got
student,
his whole
right?
playbook, dude. He doesn't know what That's the thing is he doesn't know what my coaching philosophy is. I know what he does.
That's
you know?
true. But yeah, my biggest takeaway from this conversation is I'm really bummed that the ACC is not what the ACC used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when Syracuse came, they brought Louisville.
And the real problem now is like I don't know if they're gonna get it back. I think it's just we're just running out the clock on the
You get
conference
Stanford
until
and SMU.
Yeah. I think we're running out the clock until the ACC
Just 2
dissolves,
mega conferences.
Because the second like the Florida States and
Yeah.
Clemson's and Carolinas can leave, they're gonna leave.
Just don't touch the tournament.
I know.
Keep the mid-majors
I know.
involved.
I
That would
know.
ruin everything.
Jake, I appreciate you making time, man. This is fun.
Thank you
You're
for
gonna have to
having
come
me.
back on. Get ready
Yeah,
for
let's do it. I mean,
for
this
the
is-
March Madness run.
We got to lock in now. We have 10 weeks.
I'm excited. Do you think I'm gonna come back on Pardon My Take, or I was
Definitely.
worried when I signed on at Barstool that my days on PMT were over.
No, definitely.
I don't want to invite myself.
To be
but I
fair, we
also-
haven't done an NBA or NHL preview yet.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. I
Maybe they did NHL. I think they had a Win and Biz on,
yeah.
but definitely not NBA.
We could just basically do the exact same interview we did last year again because like Purdue's good, UConn's good, Arizona's good.
Seriously. My prediction is you're going to be
We'll do the Tennessee. Like I like Tennessee, but can we trust Barnes in the tournament?
you're going to be on PMT Wednesday, February 28th.
Okay.
That episode, I'm calling my shot.
Okay, there you go. Jake Marsh
Yeah.
calling a shot that I will be on PMT Wednesday. Are you reporting it or are you
No,
speculating?
I'm just looking at the calendar and
okay.
thinking
Just making sure.
Post Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
see.
Jake. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Jake making time for us. I'm going to let everyone peek behind the curtain. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything on Pardon My Take, but whatever. It's not that big of a spoiler. Joe Buck is going on Pardon My Take, and Jake requested that we get him out of here so he could get into the Pardon My Take studio in time for Joe Buck. And we did, and we took care of it, but I just wanted to go on record as sharing that story because it's a testament to the professional that Jake is, that he carved time out of his day, did the interview, but it's very important to him that he was in the studio to talk to another Big J, and that's why we love him. That he's the best in the biz at he's very self-aware too. I love that about Jake.
Yeah.
He brought up the cream in the Dockers thing, and I was like, oh no, I'm sorry, Jake. And he's like, no, dude, that was great. Anyway, Jake's gonna. I got to get him back in the mix on the show. He carried the show for a while. When we launched this thing about a year ago, we were giving Jake Marsh a lot of reps.
He's got to be the most recurring guest.
Yeah, very high usage rate for Jake Marsh. So good to get him back in the fold. A few things before we go. Number one, shout out to Butler winning at home Hinkle Fieldhouse against Villanova. I think they were down 11-0 to start the game. Very cool timeout moment where Coach Mata is telling the guys we're going to win this game, and they're down 6, and they kept playing it over and over, and I thought they were going to jinx it because it just felt like it was headed that way, and it felt like it was going to get thrown back in his face, and Villanova fans were going to meme that clip of Thad Mata saying we're going to win this game. But no, they won the game. I love this Butler team. I've said that all year. I obviously am biased and will cheer for them because of the coaching staff, but they're so fun to watch, and I hope they make the NCAA tournament. They're not the most talented team in the world, but they never give up on games. They play with heart. If you could put Butler's heart in Ohio State's talent, we'd have something. We really would. But yeah, they're still talented, and they can beat anybody on any given night. But the problem is there are a lot of teams that you could say that about in college basketball, and there are a finite number of spots in the tournament. So hopefully Butler can keep it rolling. But big win over Villanova. It was a game they kind of had to have, and they did, because Villanova is right there on the bubble with them. So those sorts of games are gonna loom large come March. So shout out to the Bulldogs for winning that. We talked about a little bit, Jake and I. Clemson got jobbed at Duke. I don't know. That was that call to win the game for Duke. Tyrese Proctor. I guess it's technically a foul, but I also don't think it was. Like in real time, I didn't think it was a foul. I definitely think there was contact. I don't know. We don't need to do this on the show, I guess. I hate when this happens, and I hate when we screenshot. And, I mentioned the TCU game at the top with Kansas, and that was one where we were all talking about how TCU got jobbed. And it's hard not to fall into that trap. I don't want to do that. It sucks doing that because nothing's ever going to change, and they're going to continue to have shitty officiating. But I do think, for what it's worth, yes, Duke does get favorable whistle at home, but I don't think that one was particularly egregious. I disagreed with the call, but I also was like, I don't think that's evidence of a screw job. But if I was a Clemson fan, I'd be very, very fired up because that was a game that I think I said going into the weekend, Clemson, it wasn't a must-win, but it was a great opportunity for Clemson to get their season back on track because they were rolling there for a while where it looked like Clemson would be top 10 caliber team. And they've certainly cooled off. That would have been a great opportunity to get things right, and they were right there. They had the W in their grasp, and then Tyrese Proctor initiated contact for 15 seconds and then threw up some bullshit and got the whistle. And that's how it goes sometimes in college basketball. I don't know. UConn smoked Xavier. We talked about that a little bit. UConn is looking really good right now. Really, really good. I stand by that. Nothing against Purdue, but like I said to Jake, we've already seen the 16. It would be cool to see it again. It would be. It would be very cool for Zach Edey and Matt Painter to have and for them to do it with basically the same team. I know Lance Jones is a huge difference maker for him, but it's very much the same group of guys. It does feel very similar to Virginia, not just because it would be a loss to a 16 and then go on to win a national championship, but also the idea that it's the same core of guys, just a few tweaks here and there. But if you watch no college basketball and you turn on Purdue for the NCAA tournament, you will think that this is the exact same team. This is a replay of last year's tournament. So if those guys, that same group of dudes can go win a national championship, of course it'd be a great story. I think UConn going back-to-back by not doing a full reset, but, losing their three – I think they were their three best players, losing their three best players, and having guys who were already on the team step up with their roles. And I think I talked about it at the start of the season, like the way – Hurley runs that program is awesome and admirable. And if they were to go back-to-back without their core guys, two sets of core guys basically, that would be crazy because that like Florida in 07 and Duke in 92 are the last two to do it, and both of those teams brought back their best players. And that's kind of why they went back-to-back. And for them to lose guys and be right back in a position where they're the number one team in the country and they were beating the piss out of Xavier, who I know is not, elite, but still they were. That got me to look back up the Kentucky UCLA game in 2014. I think it was the 2014-15 season, the Champions Classic. No, it wasn't the Champions Classic. It was the CBS Classic when it was in Chicago. The Kentucky team that almost went undefeated, 38-0, and then lost to Wisconsin. They were up 41-7 at halftime on UCLA. I was at the game at the United Center. One of the more insane things I've ever seen. Big Blue Nation was like having orgasms in the crowd. They were like fainting, passing out because they just could not believe what they were seeing. And I bring that up to say, as I was watching UConn Xavier, I was reliving that in my head. That's how big of a beatdown this was. I was like, holy shit, dude, this feels like the Kentucky UCLA 41-7 halftime game. So UConn's rolling. Shout out to them, number one team in the country, and defending national champs. That would definitely be a cool story. Last thing before I go, Luka Doncic. We did the fraud power rankings. I put Luka on there for being a soft little bitch, and getting a guy tossed for telling him to get on a treadmill. And then Luka Doncic scored 73 points, and bad timing, sure, but also it doesn't take away from him getting a guy tossed. This is the problem with Luka, is that Luka could do this. He's above criticism because the second you criticize him, he's capable of putting up a monster stat line, which is unfair because Luka puts up monster stat lines every time he touches the court. That's the issue. Like if Luka didn't score 73 against the Hawks, he was still going to go for 46 and 17 assists and 19 rebounds. He was still going to have a monster game. So it's hard out there, man. It's hard to sit in this chair and criticize a guy like Luka Doncic because he does put up monster numbers. My criticism has never been that Luka Doncic is not talented. My criticism has been that he doesn't win as much as you would think. And I don't even really care that much. I'm not even arguing. I don't even give a shit about guys' legacies or anything. I don't care about any of that. I just find it fascinating that, like, you kill guys for one thing and then Luka gets a pass for certain things. Like, and the other thing that cracks me up, and I said this on Mostly Sports today, every time they bring up the Luka trade or the Luka pick and how he wasn't number one, of course he should have been number one. I would never argue otherwise. Of course he should have been the number one pick. That's not that I am in 100% agreement with that. Every team that would have drafted them would be a better team. All of that is true. It does make me laugh though that you would believe that the way Luka Doncic plays and people talk about that draft and how fucking stupid the Suns and the Kings are for not drafting him, you would believe that the Mavericks are the best team in the NBA and the Suns and the Kings are two of the most irrelevant franchises and they are the depths of the NBA and they will never get it back and they will be cursed by Luka forever when really they have better franchises than the Mavs right now. So that part cracks me up too. But yeah, Luka had 73. I don't know. But also, what does scoring 70 in the NBA even mean anymore? Because all this shit is so inflated. I want to also set the record straight on this, which I know the audience for this show is a fraction of the audience for Mostly Sports. That's okay. I don't care. I want to go on record saying this anyway. On Mostly Sports today, we were talking about the NBA. I don't know how this happens. Every single time I talk about the NBA, I made a point talking to Brandon about the defense in the NBA, and like clockwork, people misinterpret it as me saying I got too many tweets and too many people chirping at me that they think that I'm trying to argue that if the Houston Cougars college basketball team played in the NBA, they would hold teams to like 70 points and that there's better defense in college than there is in the NBA. I'm not a moron. I understand I don't understand how people misinterpret this argument all the time. No part of me thinks that college basketball teams in any way, shape, or form are more talented than NBA teams. Although it is interesting when you think back on the Dream Team, the only team that they ever lost to was a college all-star team. Oh my God! Breaking news: Jeff Goodman is calling me right now. TJ.
What?
Jeff, we're doing the show right now. Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to explain to you why I sent that. That's all.
Well, explain. I'm not live on the air, but I'm doing my podcast though. All right, I appreciate you calling. I'll spread the word. All right, thanks, man. See ya. All right, so Goodman just called. We're going to cut that whole conversation for reasons that will I don't know. You just have to trust me. I see his side of the story, unfortunately. It's with a heavy heart that I report Jeff Goodman might not suck as much as previously reported. Yeah. I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm at liberty to say, and I don't want to dabble in this. This is not the part of the media that I like talking shit about Jeff Goodman, but when people call me and they're like, please don't share this with anybody, but here's what happened. I hate that. That's why I'm not a scoops guy, though, because I can't handle knowing information. I can't handle having secrets or whatever else. Basically, the gist is Goodman's looking out for Fanta, and he explained it to me, and it makes total sense. And it was less of it. I thought this whole Goodman thing, I thought Goodman was chirping at this guy for reasons that made zero sense, and he was just like trying to be a dick. He was not. He called me. He explained he was trying to defend John Fanta because John Fanta was apparently in this documentary, and it made sense why. And when he explained the whole story, you know, I don't think he's lying to me. I got a good read on when Jeff's full of shit, and I don't think he's full of shit. And unfortunately, I have to now walk back everything I said about Jeff Goodman. Damn it. Not everything. Never mind. Not everything. Just in this particular instance, I walk it back. I walk back most of it. I walk back enough of it to where I look like a good guy for taking the high road, but not so much that like the jabs don't still land a little bit, if that makes sense. That's that. I'm gonna walk it back that amount. So there you have it. I wanted to play the phone call. I thought he would know that we were on air and would roll with it, but we're gonna have to cut the phone call. But anyway. That sucks. I hate when I can't just wildly speculate and talk shit on people. I hate that, dude. That's the worst. That's why I don't do scoops. Anyway, what were we talking? I was talking about Luka. I was doing a rant about the NBA defense. I just wanted to go on record as saying I don't think that college basketball players play better defense, although, as I did mention, the Dream Team lost one game, and it was to a team of college all-stars. But the NBA has just gotten – I think it's insane what this league has become, and I get it. Like I am the wet blanket, and I'm the guy that's getting old and whatever, and people love high scoring games, but maybe I should just pivot away from it. Maybe I should just join the fun with everybody else and be like, yes, I want games to be 178 to 164. That would be fucking awesome if basketball was that every time I turn it on. I think something has to be done with the league to address that the balance of power has been thrown all the way to the offense. That's not to say that when I say there's no defense in the NBA, that doesn't mean I think that the players aren't talented. That doesn't mean that I think that the college players want it more. Although I do actually think, for the most part, in the regular season they do, but that's not the reason. They do want it a little bit more. But yeah, of course, guys in the league are great defenders, and there are guys who make their money playing defense and are great rim protectors and great, and you know, Patrick Beverley is a great example. Guys like that they butter their bread on the defensive end. Those guys are valuable. Those guys make a difference. Those guys do matter, especially in the playoffs. Of course they play defense. What I'm saying is when everybody is scoring 60, 70 points a game, individuals, I mean, it stops meaning anything. I stop caring as a neutral fan, and the NBA is insane right now. We're going to see someone score 80 this year, if they really wanted to. Luka could have scored 80 the other night. For that game against the Hawks to be almost 300 points scored in a regulation game in the NBA, is in a close game too. It wasn't like one team gave up and the other team was just like hot and hitting everything, and it was a close game till the end, and it was 100. It was almost 300 total points. I don't know. It makes me old. I get it. I just like that. To me is not that appealing. I would love for these offensive explosions. I actually do love. I appreciate how talented offensively all these guys are. I want to appreciate it through a different lens, though. I want defense to be able to stop, like to have better mechanisms to stop them. And I think two obvious rule changes are: one, get rid of the gather step; two, bring back the hand check. You do that, scoring will go down immensely. Scoring scoring in isolation situations won't be the easiest thing in the world because you can just draw a foul whenever you want or get a wide open shot. I think you make those tweaks, you allow defense, you give more power to defenses. Then what happens is when a guy does score 50, 60, dare I say 73 points, it becomes a monumental, earth-shattering thing where it's like, holy fucking shit, how did he pull that off? When really, Luka scored 73, and we're all like, yeah, Devin Booker had 62, and Joel Embiid had 70 the other night, and Cat had 60. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, that's what the league has become. But I'm in the minority of that. I get killed every time I talk about it. Like clockwork is going to happen again, that we'll put the show out and people will be like, I can't believe Titus thinks that there's more defense in college than there is in the NBA. I don't think that the defenses are more talented. I think that the way that college basketball is called, the way that the rules are I'm not saying that college basketball is great either. It can get disgusting at times too. And I think I've made that observation on the show, that the college basketball is trying to get more like the NBA. I think the NBA is trying to get more like college in a lot of ways, and I think that now is the time for them to push the button to nerf offenses, because it wasn't even just this Luka game. It's been this way all season for the NBA. It's like it's out of control. Like these teams that are scoring like 100, seeing a team get 140 and push towards 150 points on any given night is not unusual. And that's bonkers to me, and maybe it's just because I'm a man of a certain age, and I remember the 90s, and like that was what I grew up with, and it could be as simple as that. But that's my perspective, and that's how I see it. And I don't necessarily want every game to be a slugfest. I want some sort of I want the balance to shift back, where I think you get rid of the gather step in general. I think the step backs where guys pick up their dribble, take the gather step, and then take two more. I get that it's within the rules of the NBA. That was traveling. That's traveling to like basically anybody that has pubic hair and grew up playing basketball thinks that that's a travel, and everybody younger than that's like, no, dog, that's how the NBA works, and it drives us old heads mad, because like, no, that should be a travel, but like it's not a travel anymore. And I don't know. I wish I could appreciate it more, but I'm obviously in the minority, and I'm gonna get people just dunking on me saying like, Luka's fucking awesome, how dare you. And eventually I'm just going to give up, TJ. I'm just going to get to a point where I'm like, you know what, I take it all back. I want every game to be 212 to 200. That's what I want this sport to be, because I think you should play 5 offensive players against 3 defensive players. More points would be better, more dunks, more threes. Just give me more. That's what I want. Anyway, that's my way of saying I'm not owned. Luka did not own me. Don't let the record show that I put Luka on the fraud power rankings and then he owned me. That did not happen. It's not true. It's not true at all. That's the show. Thank you to Jake Marsh joining us today. Fun conversation with Jake. Thank you to everybody watching and listening. And again, it's with a heavy heart that I have to issue an apology to Jeff Goodman for rushing to judgment. I stand by a lot of what I said about him, though. He's still a doofus, but in this particular instance, he might be a doofus with good intentions, and that breaks my heart to say that. So, anyway, thank you, everybody. We will be back on Friday previewing a very, very fun weekend in college basketball. We'll see you then.